Hare Krishna, everyone. Any idea what we are doing today? Number, name?
Chapter 3rd, ma'am.
3. And what is it called? Anyone knows the name of the chapter? Does anyone know the name of the chapter? Hare Krishna. So next time read and come the name of the chapter, okay? At least it's Karma Yoga, right? End of the day, I'll tell you what is tomorrow's chapter also, so you all can remember. So we'll start off with Karma Yoga, and this is one topic which all of us are worried now. What is important? Karma, what is it? Fate, destiny, all these words we keep hearing now and then. So let's hear actually what all of this is about. Before that, let's start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimurandasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Come on, all of you. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are starting, no, this is the bridge course. So I will share the presentation. Yes. So Karma Yoga. So quick recap of yesterday. Karma Yoga means yoga in action. Yesterday's chapter, what are we talking about? Is we saw, okay, now I'm going to ask you all. So what are the 5 challenges Arjuna faced? And what are the challenges he faced, objections he had in chapter 1, and which one is up in chapter 2? Going to the previous chapter.
Compassion, no enjoyment.
Perfect, enjoyment.
Family traditions.
Very nice, Manisha. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Sin and
yeah, perfect. Indecision is in the second. Perfect. So how Krishna countered, we saw that in compassion, he said that we are not the body, we are the soul. So we don't regret because we don't die, right? So that soul is eternal. So that he said by addressing about the quality of the soul. Now, what is the size of the soul? Does anyone remember the size of the soul, which we read yesterday or learned yesterday? Size of the soul. So silent.
It was 1:10,000th part, I guess.
Yeah, perfect. 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Manisha. So second one is no enjoyment, but he says if you win, it means if you're alive, it means you won and you get the planet here. In case you die, it doesn't matter because you get the heaven, right? That's waiting for you. So the third issue which you all said, sin, he says by doing devotional activity, there is no sin. There is no sin in devotional activity. But if you try and run away, only then there is sin, right? You cannot run away because that's considered to be a biggest issue. So he says that. And I have so far never spoken one story called the Ekalaiva. I don't know whether you all know that, but there is one person from Sudra whom Dronacharya, removed the finger. I don't know how many of you all know. Do you know that? Ekalaiva? At the end, I will tell you the story. Just remind.
He assumed Dronacharya as his teacher.
Yes. Thank you so much. So just remind me, I'll tell you the story. I haven't shared the story so far in any of my classes, but somehow I thought I should share. So just remind me about this. You may be knowing the story, but I just want to share it. So that one, Hare Krishna. And fear of sinful activities. So he says there's no sin as long as you do duty, and the duty is pertaining to your varna. And we will come and see what varna is, and that too if it is with Krishna conscious, right? So he says that destruction of family. He says if you run away, only then what happens is people will think you're a pervert, and they will, the family will lose its heritage and name. But if you stay and fight, it is fine, and you will be a role model for the family. So with all this, finally indecision of 2.6, he says that as long as you serve the Lord with firm determination, you don't have to worry. So now Arjuna, the second chapter, Krishna is using the word Buddhi Yoga. So basically he is talking about Bhakti Yoga as a synonym of Buddhi Yoga. He says both, he means both are same. But what happens is in the process, when he's explaining, he uses the word Buddhi Yoga. So according to Arjuna, he thinks and he feels that Buddhi Yoga means, it's intelligence. And what is intelligence? According to intelligence, somebody will not fight. And fruitive activity, according to Arjuna, he thinks fighting war is going to make him win over the kingdom. So that's a fruitive activity, right? So that's for a benefit. So he is now thoroughly confused. He says, you're giving me two mixed feeling. You're telling me you should not be engaged in fruitive activities. Fine. And you're also telling that you should do Buddhi Yoga. So these are confusing. So, and he also stops Arjuna from becoming sannyas. So what do you understand by the picture in my visuals and the picture out here? So what do you understand? Both are same. So don't see differences. What I meant is, what do you mean by the picture? What is the sign? What do you call it?
It's a sign board, and
Yeah, it's a
Arjuna is
signboard.
confused
Perfect.
that he does not know which way he should go. He should
Very
choose the path of
nice.
intelligence, or should he
Yes,
go the
perfect.
other way,
Yeah,
or
very nice,
choose
Manisha. So
choose
he's
the
confused,
sinful path?
right? Any of you all have faced this? Because most of the time I come across this situation, this way or that way. Sometimes when we are very confused, we don't know and most of the time we are confused about the road not taken. Had I taken this, maybe I had a better choice. Yes or no? Haven't we felt? At least once have you not felt, maybe I should have done this? Yes or no?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Manisha. Ekam Vada, tell me one thing. Ekam means one, Vada, tell, right? So he is asking, this is renunciation, which is spoken from 2.11 to 30. And then he says, we saw a Hanuman who, is working, but in devotion. So he's very confused. So now he is talking about karmendriya. So that means work in action. So let's see what it is. And can anyone guess who, meanwhile, this person is? And it's a very important person. All of us know him, but maybe we're not recognizing him. So go ahead and type in the chat. Meanwhile, I'll be chanting. And after I finish chanting, one of you can read the text. Hare Krishna. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyartan vimuthatma mityachara cha uchyate. Hare Krishna.
One who restrains the senses and organs of actions, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So he says, one who restrains the senses and the organs of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, right? So a classic example is a sannyasi. Sannyasi goes to the forest, but if he is constantly thinking about women or drink or a movie or pleasure, then he is not actually trying to be a sannyasi. So now I'm going to ask a question. How many times have you ever felt you should run away from your existing job, school, exam, parents' house? I have felt. Now, do I have company here, or has anyone in this group felt so?
Yes,
I have
Mataji.
felt the same, Mataji, at times.
Yeah, at times. Okay. So, sorry, who said that? Manisha, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, thanks, Manisha. So, so basically, I get a little confused between Lagna and the voice. I think I just have to get a little familiar. Hare Krishna. So what happens is, so Manish and I, both of us have thought we should run away a few times. I'm sure few of you more have thought, but you all are still taking some time to open up. So now coming by the fact that we felt it, is that renunciation? Is it that we suddenly develop devotion for Krishna and we want to go? Or is it that we want to run away and escape this world? Which one of it is true?
Escape. I think about just for escaping certain situations.
Not
or
only you,
certain
Manisha,
problems.
everyone thinks of escaping, right? Whether they say it or not, I'm so happy you're very honestly admitting. So most of them want to run away the current situation. But once we go there, we'll be thinking of this. If you a holiday also, right? Many times we want to go and stay in our relatives' place. Maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day we'll enjoy. But after the 4th day, we'll be thinking of the house, we'll think of mom, we'll think of dad, right? So I still remember, my cousins used to fight. I used to enjoy. I used to go and stay in their house. But after 2 days, my neighbor used to have the phone because we couldn't call from our phones in the house. So I used to sneak into the neighbor from my cousin's place. And I used to call my dad when he was in work. He was a doctor. So I used to tell Dad, you come and, take me home. So my dad used to pretend as if he used to come and that he missed us and he used to take us back home. So this is what used to happen. Why I'm saying is this is just about family within two families. When we are moving, we felt so much and we had to do drama. So the same thing will be the case when we go to a forest and think of renunciation. Now, did anyone guess? Oh, I see somebody in the chat. Okay, did anyone guess? Oh, thank you. Adit, you have also messaged. Okay, Hare Krishna. Did anyone guess who this person is? He is the famous king, the Bharat Maharaj. Not Rama's brother, but there is one more Bharat Maharaj, and the entire world was named after him. That's how Bharat Vansh name also came. So the speciality of him is he is a classic example where he was a king at the age of 24. He left his beautiful wife and nominated his son as the king. And then he came to the forest because he wanted to think of Krishna. But after coming there, there was a very funny incident which happens, not funny actually, very serious incident actually, but turns out to be funny in his life because what happens is there is a she deer. She's a mother of this small child, a baby deer, and is being chased. She's being chased by a tiger and it's roaring. And in that roar, the deer is running. And, while it's trying to cross over a river, it delivers. And in that shot, the mother dies and the small baby is running in the river stream. Now, Bharat Maharaj took care of this child and saved it from the river. Now, as a sannyasi, should he save it or should he let go?
Should let go.
Okay, so the actual logic is, that's what even I thought. Thank you, but actually you should save because a sannyasi also should have, humanity. And Saloni, thanks for trying. It is nice. I spelled the same and I said the same, that we should let go. But the fact is, even a sannyasi has to follow the moral codes, ethical codes, wherever is possible. He should not give up on charity, dharma, dana, and all that. So he has to save. But what he should have done is, after saving the deer, maybe keep it for a day till it recovers and then let go. He didn't do that. So if you see in this picture, he gets so engrossed with the baby deer and he's just watching the deer all through and he forgets what his job is. Imagine he's a king. He's given up his kingdom, his beautiful wife and his children. Never had a feeling how they'll manage because he was confident that they'll be taken care by the god. But after coming here, he gets so involved with the deer and he starts feeling that he's a proprietor. He feels that, oh my God, how will this deer manage if I'm not going to protect the deer? So he starts feeling very insecure. And he also feels that he's the sole owner of this deer. Owner in the sense he's the sole caretaker or whatever. And he's thinking 24/7 of the deer. And even if he's doing yagna, he's physically present and mentally absent, right? So this is a classic example. And with that, what happens is one day the deer didn't come and he gets into a feeling, oh my God, maybe the deer is lost, or maybe the deer is some wild animal attack, or maybe I'm not taking good care of the deer and the deer thinks that he'll have a better master. In that process, he got scared and he comes in search of the deer. And finally, what happens? The deer falls. Deer is fine, but thinking of the deer, he falls off the cliff and dies. Right. So this is what happens. And there is a part 2 and part 3 of this story. See, Bhagavatam is also like the latest movie, right? We have this series, web series, or we have this movies which says part A, part B, part C, right? So like that, even these have. So this is part 1. So part 2 and part 3, I will tell you in the process of other stories. So So we don't know Krishna. Yeah. So what we are going to see is something called the new philosophy called the circle of sacrifice. So what happens is the Lord actually is the one who wrote Vedas. So we read yesterday, in fact, in chapter 1, we encountered who wrote Vedas. Veda Vyasa wrote Vedas. He is none but the incarnation of Krishna himself. And the Vedas are written by him. And the Vedas talk about whatever Varna. I keep using this word Varnashram. So Varna means the system which people follow. This is completely misused in the current system as the caste system. But those days, the Varnas were caste not based on your color or creed, but based on the activities you perform and the way you evolve. So there are 4 Varnas. I will tell you today, but when I ask you tomorrow, you all should tell. So pay attention. And this is one of your quiz questions. Hopefully, I think it is there. Brahmins, all of you all know Brahmins, right? So their job is to understand Vedas. They are more intelligent and they don't take money for remuneration or salary, but they used to give Vedas, right? They used to teach the right things, what they should follow and all that. The second one is the Kshatriyas, right? All the kings, they come under the royal order. That's Kshatriya. Third is the businessman class, which is called the Vaishya. So, you know, their main job is to take care of the business, protecting the cows, and all that becomes their prime job. And the last is the Sutra. Sutra's main role is to take care of the others. So basically, the Lord gives Vedas, and the Vedas tell what duties you have to perform, right? I just told Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. You know, by sacrifice, it does not refer to the English word sacrifice, right? So the English word sacrifice means I do something. This sacrifice is a little different. It means that doing for the satisfaction or pleasure of Krishna. So if you see here, you can see all the Devatas, right? So Devatas, we keep thinking is all a mystic story. No, they are for real and they are the administrative officers, right? So they are involved in the administration of this world, which is, you know, which is our material world. So now this particular duty he is doing, and if when he does everything as a sacrifice, yagna for Krishna, right? Whatever he does, so he will after, you know, let's say he gets crops and he does puja and all the yagna you tell, that yagna kund that you sacrifice, it reaches the Indra and you know, our Vishnu, and because they are doing yagna for Vishnu, the demigods get satisfied and rain comes, right? So does anyone know who is the demigod for rain? Keep typing if you know, I'm moving ahead. And because of the rain comes. And the rain is what is cooked as food. And the moment we eat it directly, then it becomes a sin. So what we do is we give it to Krishna, and you know, that becomes prasad. It gets sanctified and then we eat. Now, a bumper offer is when Krishna eats, the quantity does not come down. The quantity stays just as it is. And that is the speciality of Krishna. He can even eat with the eyes, but the quality of the prasad becomes sanctified. It becomes absolutely sinless. So you may ask me, Mataji, it's vegetarian food and it's cooked so well. Why do you call it sin? Yes, but even that, you know, we don't know, right? There could be very tiny worms which can get burned, or small insects which could be there, microorganisms, right? So we don't know. So that's why, you know, we give it to Krishna and then serve as prasad at the initial stage. As you get developed, then you will start feeling him as a part of your family, and you will do for his sake, out of love. So this is the cycle of sacrifice, right? So again, I repeat. So from the Lord comes the Vedas, from their duties, from there we do yagna. Rain comes, which gives grains, and living entities cook the food and serve as prasad for Krishna. So this yesterday we discussed. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, what is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? A commonly asked question. So Bhagavad Gita talks about Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the okay. Bhagavad Gita talks is spoken by Krishna himself, right? He talks the do's and don'ts. Now we will think, oh my God, Krishna is giving a list of do. It's practically not possible. So Srimad Bhagavatam tells us the stories of people who have followed it and have actually practiced bhakti. So this is called the Panchatattva mantra, which we chant one time before we do each round. A round has 108 times we repeat the name, right? It's Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, which Chaitanya means Lord Krishna himself. Prabhu Nityananda refers to Balram. Shri Advaita Acharya is a combination of Vishnu and our Shiva. Gadadhara is Radharani. Srivatsadi is Narada. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, just an appreciation, right? So Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And this one all of us know, so we can all chant. Come once more, all of you all join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Not able to spot, but I guess the loud voice was Deepak. Deepak, are you learning Carnatic?
Ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
I
ma'am.
was just asking if you were learning Carnatic music. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yagna Shistashina Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilbishai Bunjante Tetva Gamba Ye Pachanti Atma Karanat. Hare Krishna. Please read. I asked Deepak because your voice was very nice. It like really showed up. So thank you so much. And thanks for everyone for chanting. Come, one of you all
Hare
read this.
Krishna, ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin.
So the devotees of the Lord are realized from all kinds of sins, right? So the devotees are realized from all types of sins. So we saw that. So the devotees of the Lord completely get removed by any type of sin. And I told you, right, in the process of whatever happens, because it gets sanctified by Krishna. And eats for personal enjoyment, right, with the offering, eventually land up in eating some of this, which is a sin. So this is a very nice understanding of bodily platform. So let me give you an example of this particular story. So bodily platform is, let's say we are going to a hotel. We go in the morning, somebody in the bodily platform. So bodily platform also refers to the something like an animal eating, sleeping, mating. That's the only thing, right? They only think of bodily satisfaction. One example which I give is ourselves, right? When we go to a hotel in the morning, let's say somebody wants to drink early at 9 o'clock, wants to take a cup of alcohol. So that shows bodily platform, right? So now platform is sensual platform. So here there is sense, there is some living force here. Example, a child, a small baby, but you know that the small baby cannot resist, right? It's an essential platform. It can feel, it doesn't have the sense of realization. It's just at the base level. Now the person who's gone to drink is also at that level, but a little bit of sense wakes him up and he says, okay, I'm not going to drink alcohol now. Maybe I will come back later, or maybe think about it later. But right now, I will settle for a juice or food, and I will eat properly a full-course meal in the morning, and all that. Mind platform is someone where he can start thinking, right? Knowledge starts here. It's not intelligence, it's jnana, right? The thought, whatever you read and all that. So the person who is there, the mental platform thinks that forget it, let me just go have one juice or two dosa or idli or chapati, whatever you call, and let me go back to studies, right? So this is one in the mental platform. Now he has a different realization. For him that is important, but he will get tempted after he sees the menu card, because mind is the biggest sense and the first envy, right? It gets attracted. We saw something back, right, in reality. So the moment he sees, I need everything in the menu card. So the next comes what's called the platform, which is the more practical platform. So intelligence says, hey, very good menu, but you just have 50 rupees. So you can't have juice, you can't have chapati, you can't have puri, you can't have all in the platter. So intelligence tells, don't do that. You please have idli and one juice and go back and study. So that is intelligence platform. The final one is called the Anandamaya, which is a spiritual platform, which is eternal bliss. So okay, forget about it, let me go home, make whatever, and serve to Krishna, and then I will have food. So this is what is the intelligent platform. What we saw is the various platform. Now this normally talks bodily platform, animals, sensual platform, you can think of a small child. Mental platform onwards, you think this one also parallelly talks about maturity of the person. mental platform I told, right? So it's like typically a 10 to 12-year child who understands but is getting often tempted by things, right? Oh, strawberry, oh, ice cream, oh, chocolate. And intelligence platform is someone who's very mature. Now, I'm using the word child because the child's maturity is expected, but most of the time, all this applies to all of us, right? We are supposed to be grown up with the child mentality, right? You can be childish, but you can't be childlike. This is a term which they use. So you can be childish, you can be playful, nothing wrong. But if you're childlike, you really can't differentiate which platform you're supposed to do. Hare Krishna. 3.42. Indriyani prara nyathu indriyebhya param manah manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastutsaha. Hare Krishna. Please read.
The
The
working
working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
Thank you so much. Very nicely read. So we are talking about dull matter is something which does not have like my remote, my mobile, my phone. So it's the lowest, right? And your working senses, when you talk about working senses, we have all this, your hands, legs, right? So all these are working senses, speaking, your anus and genital, these are the working, it's called karmendriya. So this is superior than matter, we all know, right? Because it's got life in it. Mind is higher. All the senses, the mind is a higher sense, right? Because it can think. The fastest which can go is mind. In 1 second, as I'm talking to you, you people have actually gone to US, Germany, to school, college, and you've come back. Higher than the mind we saw is intelligence, and still higher is what is the soul, right? The soul is at a higher thing. So, okay, I'm going to ask you all. It's a tough guess, but whatever we read now, can anyone guess what the horses represent? By the picture, you should be able to.
The senses. Five senses.
Yeah, you're right, but can you repeat again? Senses, yes. So the horses represent the senses, right? So eyes, nose, and all that. So I lead the answer. So what is the? I forget. Always I forget this. What is it called? Brand? What do you call the thread which you pull the horse?
Mind.
Okay, thank you. That's the answer I expected. But what is the English word for the thread?
Mind.
No, your answer is right. Mind is the answer. So that's the mind. But I was telling the English there is a term for the thread you use to pull the horse. Maybe I'll get it.
The reins. The reins.
Sorry?
Reins.
Reins. Exactly. Thank you so much. Yes, the reins. I never get this. I don't know why. So the reins, are for pulling the horse. That represents the mind. And your actual answer is right. Mind. Thank you. Right. Now, who is this person who's riding the bike? I'm going to keep my hands free. So who is this blue color person who's riding the horse? What does that represent? So we saw senses are here. More than the senses are the mind, because mind is the most powerful, right? It controls. And who can control the mind?
Intelligence.
Thank you. So this is the intelligence, right? And who is actually driving the intelligence? So okay, I need to change the question. So who's this? Who's this scary? Huh?
Soul.
Very beautiful. Soul. So soul is there. And what does this chariot represent? Soul is right. Beautiful. This is self, right? So the chariot represents the body which we are. So we are in a human body. The chariot represents it's a vehicle, right? So if we are in an animal body, let's say a dog, then the dog body represents the chariot, right? So self is the soul. So we saw just as like we saw that the mind senses about that mind, about the intelligence, and about that is self, right? So be a role model, Krishna is telling, and he quotes Janaka Maharaj. Does anyone know who Janaka Maharaj is?
Father of Sita Mata.
Yes, amazing. Yes, father of Sita, and he is a Uttamadhikari, Mahabharata, very exalted. They used to call these kings as Raja Rishi because he had a kingdom, but he was so exalted that he was never greedy of anything. So the shloka goes like this: Hare Krishna, Yat Yat Acharati Sheshas Tattat Vivetar Bhojanaha Sayat Pranam Bhute Lokastadanuvartate. Hare Krishna.
Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursue. He leads by example, role models shape the society.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So whatever standards he sets by an extemporary act, right? But first, so he says, whoever does that, the entire world will follow is what he's saying. So that's why you have to be careful. And why is he telling this to Arjuna? He's telling Arjuna, you may run to the forest and then say it and may be successful, may or may not be. But even if you are successful, people will follow you. And if they take your path, they may not be as successful as you. So now this is a very beautiful shloka, and he is actually talking about desire. What he's, let me just chant this, Hare Krishna. Dhume na priyate bhane yata darsho malena cha yatolena to gharpa tatate nidam avritam. Hare Krishna. So, Bairinam, right? So he's talking about how our understanding is. So, 3 levels. One is it could be like our ignorance could be like the dust or the smoke from the fire. It's very mild. After a few minutes it will subside. Or the dust, if our greed is very high, what happens is I will go to the shloka and show you the meaning also of this verse 36. And it could be like the mirror, right? The mirror correcting the dust, you can still clean it, but it's going to take some more efforts from your side. Little difficult task, but it's not an impossible task. And then he is also talking about garbha, which means pregnant, right? The baby in the womb of the mother. It's so tight, right? It's so difficult to overcome. So much it is packed. So let me just quickly take you to the verse. And before I take you to the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, I also want to tell you one point here, where not only Janaka Maharaj, he also quotes in 24-25 shloka that Krishna himself is their role model. Krishna himself has come, he went to Sandipani Muni and did a course, right? He went to schooling. There was no need for him to do schooling, but he did that because he wanted to set an example for all of them. Otherwise, future people will come and tell Krishna himself never read. Why should I read? So all these kind of jokes will come, right? So that's why Krishna has, he himself has set an example so that there is absolutely no hesitation, and nobody will actually tell that Krishna never did, so why should I? So that's what he was trying to tell. Hare Krishna. One second. So the lust, so the various wish or the desire is like lust covering at various stages. So that's what he had spoken. So let me just the shloka. So I'm not, Vedab is not opening, no problem. In few minutes, I'll show you. So this is the speciality of this particular chapter. So far, do you have any doubts? Because I'm going to summarize the chapter. Before that, I just thought, let me check if you have any doubt on this. Hare Krishna. You all have it?
No, Mataji.
Sorry?
No doubts, no doubts.
No doubt? Okay. So quickly we saw that Krishna had a lot of soft peddling to be done, right? So I just wanted before that this particular shloka, which is this verse, right? This is Veda based, and I showed you all yesterday. You can just go to that shloka. So he is talking about as the fire is covered by the smoke, which I told you just now, and the mirror is covered by the dust, which is a higher level. Embryo is covered by womb. The living entity is covered by the various degrees of lust. So this talks about how lust actually covers it at various levels. So the higher the degree, the more difficult it is to get rid of the lust. So you can read the purport. It's a beautiful 3.38. Okay. So back to the presentation and a quick revision so that we will do bridge. And hopefully, I'm assuming that we'll have time for a story as well. So this one is the concept, and the final page we are talking about is how your entire summary is, right? So Krishna is addressing the various questions of Arjuna, because Arjuna always starts, most of the time chapters, he starts with a question. Ekam vada, tell me one thing, renunciation of action. And nityatam kuru karme, right? Niyatam kuru karme. He says, don't worry, work on Krishna conscious, that is more important. and pravartitam chakram, karma kanda or karma yoga. So yoga means connecting to God. So should he do work, just for his own satisfaction, or should he do work in the wish of Krishna? Right? So there is something called, you do any work, no problem, but surrender the results to Krishna. That is called, surrender. If you surrender little results, it's called Sakama Karma Yoga. If you surrender all the results, it is called Neshkama Karma Yoga. So he's just explaining that. And then he says, lead by an example. He quotes Janaka Maharaj and quotes himself for it. And he also says, greatest enemy. You know why this topic comes? Because after leading by an example, Arjuna asks a very beautiful question. He's telling Krishna, I understand whatever you're telling, but sometimes we know we don't want to do it, right? It happens to us most of the time. Typically, when we are in exam mood and we have the mobile and we try hard not to see, but still some temptation for the mobile to be in our hands and we lose time. So there is something which is bothering me, something which seriously disturbs me. What is that? What bothers me and what makes me do something which I don't want to do? And that is what Krishna is addressing. It is only lust, because lust is controlling you so much that you can't give that up. So this is what it is. And Hare Krishna. I'll end with prayer since you all said no question. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpadarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanan pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Come on. All of you one time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna. I'm going to go to the, thank you. I'm going to do the bridge course now. Do you all have any doubts of the chapter, so that we can jump to the bridge course? Otherwise, I can proceed to the bridge course. Okay. So I am, let me just, so we're talking about karma. Okay. So this is some very interesting topic. You all will enjoy, I can assure you that. So section 8 talks about karma and what is the law of karma. Right. So I want you all to be interactive. I want you all to speak, only then you'll enjoy. So we have, the karma, which is coming like this. And we have someone over here, you see various typing. What you sow is what you reap, right? So here you see someone sowing seeds and they get food. Someone puts a mango tree, you don't get a neem tree after you drop a mango seed, right? And somebody is cutting killing an animal. So we live in a world where each one of us is unique, right? So no two people are generally identical. However, you see some are born rich, some poor, some are handsome, right? Yes or no? Now, some are ugly, right? Some are very strong, hale and healthy, right? And unfortunately, some of them are weak and handicapped. Some are born for rich parents, and some are born where they don't have a meal, right? So why is God partial to some? Yes or no? Does this thought come for any of you all? And do you have an answer? Why is God partial? Have you felt? I mean, I used to feel, why is he doing like this? Come on, I want you all to talk. Yes, no, either ways is okay. But silence is the answer.
Yes, ma'am, I feel so.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes,
So,
I felt it a lot many times that God is being partial to me and he's being way too good to others.
Exactly, Manisha, we've all felt this, right? So it's very normal. So it's not just you. And that was, who was the other one who answered that? Was it Lagna? Lagna, you were the one who said, right? Yes. Who answered first?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Lagna. Okay, thank you. Another perplexing, this is a very funny question. Okay. This is a classic doubt. Why do innocent children get killed? Typically, you see small kids, right? 2-year child dies, 3-year child, more so when they didn't commit anything wrong, right? We don't know any child who's committed an error. Even then, a small child committing an error, 1 year, what can it be? We see all this. We can't even take it. Iraq, there is some war somewhere and you see small kids are dying. Why is God so unkind? Right? And also, why is God so cruel? Some argue God cannot be all powerful, because if he's all powerful and all merciful, it cannot happen simultaneously. Only one is true. If he's all powerful, he will not endure these things happen. If he's all merciful, then maybe he is merciful, he's soft hearted, but he doesn't have the power to control. Are you with me? Do you understand what I'm trying to tell? One of that only can apply, but both cannot simultaneously apply. Either he's very powerful and he doesn't care, or he is very merciful, but he doesn't have the power to stop. So this is the perception, right? If God is powerful, which I told you, then he may not be all merciful. because he see all of that, because we're seeing all of sufferings. But if he's merciful, maybe he's not powerful, right? Because he's so soft, but he can't stop all this. As he seems incapable of avoiding this. So scriptures inform that God is the supreme well-wisher, right? We have this in 5.2. 9 says, Bhoktaram Yaknatapasam Sarva Lokamaheshwaram Sukhadam Sarva Bhutanam Natva Shantim Gachati. So what does it mean? It will come in the 5th chapter. The last shloka says that he is the best well-wisher and supreme, powerful, and very merciful. So much he is telling. And also he says, Samoha Sarva Bhuteshnu. I am equal to all. And Manisha and me were complaining that no, he says he's equal, but I feel that others have a better situation. Why is he discriminating? In the law of code, this is a very beautiful understanding. I mean, I could understand this after this. The judge awards someone, right? Somebody, he even awards a hanging. And for someone, he may give awards. You may be thinking, where is award in the jail? Yes, they do give money, compensation, lot of things, right? And why is the judge giving different judgments? What is the need for? Is he partial? Now answer, you tell me, is the judge partial? Yes or no? Different people get different judgments. Somebody goes to jail, somebody gets money. Why all this happen?
No, ma'am. It depends on the work done.
On what work?
Depends on the extent of crime they have attempted.
Yes, thank you so much. So it's not the work, it is basically depending on the extent of crime which is being committed, right? So that is the bigger issue. So he is not partial. Likewise, this is based on the activity of the individual, the judge gives judgments, right? So likewise, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, lot of people do crime, based on which and based on the desire, they get a particular body. It could be a human body. See all this, there are totally 84 lakh variety of body, not number, variety. So there's a tiger, one variety, man, another variety, dog, another variety. You understand? Stencils of varieties of bodies. And based on what he does, based on karma. Even Newton's third law of motion says, so anybody can state Newton's third law? Nobody will forget it.
Every action
has equal and opposite reaction.
Thank you so much. I am assuming there are some smart boys also in the class, so we can have some problems. Thank you so much.
Here the physics professor here, ma'am.
No, you should be active.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. But who is witnessing our activity? Who is witnessing? Because Paramatma is there in the soul of each, and Paramatma is also called Super Soul. He is witnessing various activities. Even if you are lying, I can't find out, but Paramatma keeps saying, yeah. So this one, 8.6, is now I'm going back to the deer Bharat story I told. There is this very beautiful chanting of 8.6 shloka. It says, Yaya Vyapi Smaran Bhavam Tajitante Kalevaram Tatam Evaiti Kaunteya Sadatat Bhava Bhavitaha, which means whatever one thinks at the time of dying is what the body they will get. Now you people tell me what body Bharat would have got in the next birth when he died. Hare Krishna, did I ask a IAS question? Let me redefine my question. What was he thinking when
The body of the deer?
Thank you so much. Yes, he got the body of a deer. Okay. So this is what he thinks. So whatever he thinks. So sometimes they say that the person came back to the same family. It's partially true, right? He will, or he or she may come back to the same family because they've been so attached to the family, and he's been thinking whether he'll be born as a child or whether he'll be born as a cockroach or a dog in the same house is a call on based on karma, right? His wish of being born in the family will come true, or being a part of the family, but being born as a human, he needs to have some credits. So in the human form of life, we have got developed intelligence to discriminate and be responsible. If we engage in sinful activities like illicit sex, gambling and all this, what happens is, which is called the 4 pillars, we will have to suffer the karma reaction, right? So these are hells. So this is there in the 5th chapter, 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, last verse, last chapter. Talks about, it's a 8th chapter, it has 26 hells. So you can have a glance of the hells, various forms. Also, after serving notice in hell, they won't come back as human. After hell, animal planets. So what is it? If somebody is constantly sleeping. I'll give you this, which is my most favorite. Not sleeping. Example. Okay. So we don't enjoy it. We sleep for 6 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours also, but after that you won't sleep. You'll only be rolling in the bed. Whereas a bear can go into hibernation for hours together. So the bear, you take the body of the bear. We will suffer destiny, chronic diseases, whatever, legal implication, born in a low family, very ugly, uneducated, all this. So destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. I'm not saying Williams is saying, which means that destiny is totally, to a large extent, is what we have done. If we lead a responsible life by following religious principles, austerities, we don't have to go to austerity. When I said you don't have to go to the forest, when Krishna is telling austerity, you don't have to they talk about austerity of the mind. Doing chanting is the biggest japa. So we don't have such exalt. Whoever is going to chant today, please raise your hand. Right? Japa. So this sacrifice means not losing something, but doing something. So cultivation of knowledge, read more relevant books, not irrelevant books. So I showed you Veda base. I will again show you again. Prabhupada wrote 60 books. So it's all there. Associate with saintly people. Unfortunately, we may not have direct touch or contact with such senior people, but we are all in devotee association ourselves. So this will elevate us solely to the kingdom of God. So this is what is the law of karma. So what are the different types of karma? I just want to take another 2 minutes, which is very important. Karma is you do any action, right? You're giving food to the beggar. Now vikarma is opposite. Opposite. Whatever the Shastras say, that what you're supposed to do, you do is karma. What you're not supposed to do, you do is vikarma. Now, what do you want to do, karma or vikarma?
Karma.
Karma.
Right? So that's our understanding. So by doing karma, we go to heaven. Good activity. And by doing vikarma, we go to hell. We know that, right? Even here, we'll get stuck. So that's a report card. But by going to heaven, we'll come back to the earth. By going to hell, also, we will come back to the earth. But there is something called akarma, which is a new concept, which we may not be aware. And I'm introducing it here, where you do activities around Krishna and you don't go to hell or heaven, but you go to Goloka. Is that clear? So it's like life is a preparation and death is an examination. So law of karma is talking about ethical law. For every action we saw, there is a reaction. What we sow is what we reap. So good karma, you do punya, you go up. You do bad karma, papa, you go out. But as long as you do karma, you have to come to the material world. If we want to go to the Goloka and live permanently, that is Vaikunta, then we have to make sure that we don't get any effect of karma. And that is why food we don't eat directly, we give to Krishna and take. Sometimes bad things are the reaction of the past, right? We are not the material body, but we are souls, originally pure. But by coming in contact with the karma, we get adulterated. Concept of free will is Krishna has given us free will. We've all come to the earth because we wanted to be here. He has given us free will to choose. Choice is in our hands. We can either choose to do good things. Lord Krishna has given us freedom. Soul has some freedom. Krishna has all freedom. We have a little bit of freedom. But if we properly use, then we will have no effect of bad karma. As long as good and bad, I keep telling you, will be in the material world. Right? So therefore, we have to do this. There is also a very beautiful thing, 7.19, Hare Krishna. One of you can read it, I'll chant. Bahunam janmanam ante, natva mam prapadyate, vasudevam sarvamiti, samahatma sadurlabha. One of you please read.
After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
Hare Krishna, 7.19. So what he finally concludes in 18.66 is Sarva Dharmyam Parityaga Mamekam Charanam Vraja Ahatvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshanimma Gacchati. Sorry, the lyrics are a little different. I'll change to English hereafter. Please go ahead and read.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Hare Krishna.
So basically, he said he will relieve, right? So he will take care. So whatever beliefs we have, we can forget that and follow Krishna conscious. Yes, well, so when I'm telling that, it doesn't mean if you're a Christian or a Muslim, you should give up your deity. No. Chodna nahi hai jodna, you can parallelly do everything. This is a classic example when you're in confusion. Right? Like, for example, my dad used to tell Tuesdays you should not do anything because it's called Mangalvar. So it's very contradictory to Tamil Nadu because Tamil Nadu, they don't do things on Tuesday, whereas it's called Mangalvar in Andhra. I'm sure it's the same in Delhi and North, where it's considered as an auspicious day, Mangal, right? And they do that as a good act. So these are the things which we are confused to do, not to do. So those time refer to Shastra, it's easier. And for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. So if you share this, devotional service is important, guaranteed. So engage in Krishna conscience and therefore you get freed from this material world. And very clearly it says Krishna has given this material world as a toy for us to play. And surrendering Krishna to Krishna cleans us. So Krishna resides in Goloka and we belong to Goloka and we will go to Goloka. So there are 3 modes. Does anyone know which mode? The 3 modes, okay, I have not said this, I'll introduce. 3 modes are mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. They constantly keep, like the Mommalatam, no? Like what do you call the puppet show? They keep playing on us. And we have no chance of escaping unless we are totally. So there's nothing called chance, it's all prearranged. People think it's chance, but nothing is, it's all by Krishna's plan. And there's nothing called good luck, bad luck. It's called the what you have created and what you have destined. It's all, destiny is in our hand, and we can still change our destiny by chanting. So whatever bad karmas we have, we can completely have it deleted. So these are the things, and these are the words from Prabhupada's words are exactly from Krishna, right? So there's nothing told by us. So this is what is all about. Is there anything, any other doubts you all have? So how do we get rid of this? There is just one nice slide which I will show you, and then I'll end the session. Maybe I'll tell the story. So we can chant. We have chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Power of prayers, right? We pray, prayers go up, blessings come down. Very nice, right? Make truth and love as a foundation. Be honest. And thank you so much. So we will conclude the session where it's all choice, and karma is decided by us. And what we are destined to is also decided by us, but not now in the previous birth. So that's what it is. But in this birth, what we can do is we can clear of all that by getting into Krishna conscious. That's about it on this. And anything else? If not, I will tell you a story.
Hello.
Hello, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a little doubt that for example, if that karma gives, if we do something good, then there's a concept of punya, and if we do something wrong, that's a concept of pap. Okay, so ma'am, the vikarma is the negative side of the karma. Ma'am, if in life, suppose we have gone through some vikarma or by mistake, or something has happened of vikarma, couldn't be there's a possible solution that we could, repair that, we can, correct that mistake, or we will definitely face consequences.
No. I never said you will definitely have consequences. I'm telling you can correct the mistake. But whatever karma you've done in your previous birth, you won't even know what karma, right? See, sometimes karma reactions may come immediately, or it may come afterwards, right? If it comes immediately, you realize, oh my God, I did this mistake, I'll correct it. But if it's from your previous birth, which you don't even remember what you were, how will you have a chance to correct? The only way you can correct is so that all this gets nullified, and not to repeat more karmas. That's the only way you can do, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, but some of the time, we go through that. We might have done something wrong in our this life only. Like a few years back, we got to know that yes, I have done some mistakes. So can we repair that, or we'll?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So that's what I'm telling you. If you can repair karma from the previous birth, yes, you can. The first thing is, if it is previous birth, you can't help it because you don't know what you have done.
Not previous birth, this life.
If you feel you have done karma, the easiest way, which they say about a Vaishnava, is first thing is you seek forgiveness by your heart, right? Wherever you think you've made a mistake, you can ask first thing by your heart to the person, because you won't have the the heart to go and apologize directly to the person, right? And after that, if you really feel, that you want to end the karma, you can always go and ask a sorry to the person, but mean it. Don't just say sorry and just walk out. Now, once you tell sorry, it becomes a headache of that person to forgive. Right? Whether the person forgives or not is different. You try genuinely, but if the person says, I don't care, you will suffer. He's not, God to give you those kind of curse or blessings. So either case, you don't worry, but you try it sincerely, because Krishna does not see your result, unlike our exam. Your marks matters, right? But Krishna sees your efforts. That's an advantage, right? You are, in a material world, we are not used to results. But with respect to Krishna, only efforts count, not results.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Let me just record this. Hare Krishna. So today I introduced something called the Varnashma system, right? So Varnashma means Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya and Sudra. So the Varnas, so Ashrama I will come later, but for now, we'll stick to Varna. These are the 4 broad classifications on the basis of the work they do. This is directly linked not just by birth, but by the mentality of each of them. For example, a Brahmana will be very intelligent, he will be having Vedic knowledge, and and he will not have fear. He will know how to handle a particular situation by intelligence. He can give spiritual knowledge, right? A Kshatriya will be a different quality. He'll have vigor, which we will see in the upcoming chapters of Bhagavad Gita. He will be very bold. He will be very, gutsy, in the sense, if there is a fight, a Brahmana will not stop, but a Kshatriya will not hesitate, even if he knows he is going to be hurt, right? He will go and he will fight for the right thing. So he's got that blood. Third is a Vaishya, and Brahmana should never lie. Now, why I'm saying that is, now a Vaishya is the third category, is a businessman. There will be small lies he will tell, not the lie which can cause harm to someone, but let's say he's bought something for 500 rupee, 300 rupee, and he's selling for 500. He may land up telling that, okay, I got it for 300, I've got it for 450, right? If he says 300, you will tell, give it for 350, right? So there's a possibility, and this is his job, business. Now there's a last line called Sudra, and they are neither intelligent nor can they manage independently. That is why they manage 3 people on their instructions. The 3 of them tell them, you do this, they do this. They don't get a lot of money also, because if they have too much money, they will involve in gambling, drinking, their mind works in that fashion. So with this kind of a situation, what happens is, Sudra should not be allowed to operate independently. That's why they will get Sudra to get married early. Because if a Sudra is asked to get married late, what happens is, for them to maintain the bachelorship or celibacy is very difficult. So with the girls, right? They won't be able to manage, because they will get easily carried away or exploited and all that. So that's the capacity of thinking of the Sudra. Now, Ekalaivan, right, is someone with Ekalaivan, right? So is someone with who is very, very famous. And most of us think we know the story of Ekalaiva. And I realized lately that I did not know the full story. And in fact, my mom is here. I'm telling, please hear, because everything I have heard is a complaint telling that, Dronacharya is so mean. He was a teacher who in fact told Ekalaiva to cut his thumb so that he cannot shoot an arrow. So let me just tell you the story of Ekalaiva. Ekalaiva comes to Dronacharya and asks him to teach him the Dhanu. You know Dhanush, right? So the bow and arrow. And he says, no, I can't teach you, because you're a Sudra. And the story stops here, and it takes a different form, where he then says, okay, fine, I still want to learn. He creates the deity, or the the picture of Dronacharya, and he learns archery, and he becomes such a great archer. Now he goes to Dronacharya. He does not go, but there's a reason Dronacharya calls him, and he asks, who is your teacher? He says, you're the teacher. And he says, can you give me Guru Dakshin? And please give, and he says, yes. And he says, give me the speaker. So the whole story seems so cruel about Dronacharya. And this is particularly what I have also heard. And the story ended here. This was very conflicting to a parallel story in Dronacharya's life, wherein Dronacharya had a friend called Drupada, right? We have seen this, and they were childhood friends, and Drupada was a king. He was a Kshatriya. Dronacharya was a Brahmin, and Drupada always told Dronacharya, you're my best friend. You, when you grow up, I will give half my kingdom. Now, Dronacharya went up and asked him, when he became a king, But Drupada insulted him by saying that I don't want to make friends with such poor people and all that, and he threw him off. Now Dronacharya took this insult so much that he sent Pandavas and Kauravas, basically Pandavas to the key, to basically to fight and win over the kingdom. Even though he won the kingdom, he wanted only friendship. So he wanted to prove his point, but then he didn't want to take the kingdom away from his friend. So he had that beautiful quality. And what happened is he also had, our Drupada got insulted because he's a Kshatriya, and he challenged that he will have a son because he had only one daughter. Does anyone know the name of his daughter who lost the war? But does anyone know the name of the daughter?
Draupadi.
Thank you, Sikandi. No, Draupadi is not yet born. Sikandi, and Sikandi actually lost. So he feels that a girl probably could not give us victory, so he wanted a son. So he went and he did a lot of yagnas, and he got what's called Dushtadumna, right? He is his son, and along with Dushtadumna is a twin who is born, which is Draupadi. So after Draupadi is born, he wishes Draupadi should get married to Arjuna because he's such a great warrior. And Drupada, when the moment he was born, it was known that Drupada is the person who is going to kill Dronacharya. In spite of that, Drupada went to school of Dronacharya and learned Dhanurvida. So isn't that very weird, right? One side he is asking the finger. This is what I felt. And the other side he is teaching because he's a Brahmana, and a Brahmana never says no to teaching. And he teaches Dushtadumna, even though he knows he's the guy who's going to kill him. And his teaching is the weapon which is going to hit him, right? So then when I went in little deep, I understood. All of us know him, Eka Kaleva, as Sudra, right? And but okay, so Ekaleva, so which means that he's self-learner, he learned. But now coming to the main point, he's a Sudra. And why he said no is not because he should not teach a Sudra, but the way in which a Sudra can handle. So it is not that anybody can learn anything. It's like why we don't teach real guns to a small child, because a child won't know how to handle it. Ekaleva is a Sudra. He felt that Ekaleva will misuse because a Kshatriya does not just learn Dhanu. He learns various other principles along with that. So it is not just one art which can mislead. There are other things which he learns which he should not do and when he should. So in the process, what happens is Ekaleva, when he is practicing, there is a dog which comes, which is barking and creating disturbance. And he gets so angry and he shoots 7 arrows in the mouth of the dog. So obviously the dog cannot bark, but it's very cruel. Do you understand? I mean, if there is a dog lover or an animal lover, they can relate. Even if you're not a dog lover, anyone who is a human will be able to understand. This is not the purpose of the Dhanu. And a lot of people in the village came and complained to him that this was happening and the art is being misused. And that is when he actually called him and asked and inquired who was his teacher, because his original idea is he could talk to the teacher and try and tell him and instruct him and fix his problem. This is very important for us also. So we should not correct someone if we do not have the right to correct. But if we have the right to correct, we should not stop from correcting, and we should correct. It's not just call him and tell what you're doing is wrong, you're fit for nothing. Tell him how he can correct. So feedback is not just feeding behind their back. It's about feeding them correctly so that in future, they will not make the same mistake which they did at the back. That's the story. So this is a very important learning for us, because anytime we know only one side of the story, we make our own conclusion and judgment. But actually he did for the welfare, because a lot of these innocent animals and innocent people will be misappropriated or will be really ruined by the power in the wrong hands, which is the case today. If you see a lot of Sudras, when they are politicians, the way in which they handle, I have power, you're talking, finish him. Yes or no? He's such a bad fellow. They don't have tolerance. They want to like show their power. Oh, that girl spoke loudly, pour acid in her face. That fellow spoke, put him, file some case and push him behind bars. Genuinely, they will be innocent, right? This is the Sudric behavior. So the power in the hands of Sudra will become very harmful for people around, which is why the power is held only by Kshatriya. Now, if someone, for example, Parashuram is a Brahmana who became a Kshatriya, and Vishwamitra is a Kshatriya who became a Brahmana in terms of not duty, but they learned everything and they practiced well and they did the right thing. So that was accepted. But someone who does just one art and gets in is more destructive to the society, and that had to be checked. And that is what Dronacharya did. So I just thought I'll share this story, and thank you so much. And an extension of this story, one more line is, Karna faced a similar situation, and what he did is, when there was a disturbance, he actually threw arrow around the animal so that the animal does not approach him and he could continue to practice. Isn't that great? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there is a difference. Can you see? Now you may ask, Karna also is not technically knows he's a Kshatriya, he's a Sudra. But if you see, he is born as a Kshatriya. So the Kshatriya blood is in him, right? So the natural style for him works like a Kshatriya, and he learned completely. He did not learn half art of one Dhanush. He went to Parshuram and got complete training. Now the same situation Arjuna faced, and what he did is, he saw the dog, and obviously it was first of all, he was not distracted, but he would get distracted if the dog attacks him. So he made a same arrow which Karna did, but the only difference is he made it around him, right? Because he didn't want to cage the dog, because the dog's nature is this, but he wanted to focus. Noise didn't disturb him. Only thing is, while he is doing, he should not be physically disturbed. So he made a cage for himself, and he did this. Can you see the quality of people as they are progressing? Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? So, yes. So here we already have a fan club of Arjuna, so I don't have to convince. So this is what is the story, and with this I end the note, and all glories to one of our heroes, Arjuna, and greater glories, and we surrender on to Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, all of you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare
Yes, so
Krishna.
who's going to
Hare
chant?
Krishna,
Thank you so much,
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Who's going to chant? Who's going to chant today? I told you all today is the third day, 6 into 3, 18. Who will be chanting today? Nobody's hand is raised. Lagna, will you chant? Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Lagna. Yes, you can chant 18 times and we can end the session. I'll go on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ma'am, all of them can join with me.
Sure, but you don't have to sing. You can just chant. What you're doing is singing, which is Kirtan. It will take very long. You can just tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But very beautifully you're chanting. I don't feel like stopping. But this is what you did is Kirtan. Everyone actually can join, but if everyone joins, it will not go in right. So let them chant behind mic, and you can do. Tomorrow somebody else will chant. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, all of you, and we'll meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Mohandas Prabhu.